the first person to appear when we call these people who watch the election on our side.
Welcome back. Welcome back. You're watching Siasa Fiesta here on Morning Prime. Holding court this morning with Owen Bayer, who is a Deputy Majority Leader in the National Assembly. Also with us is Dr. Nikal, who is Member of Parliament for Seme, and also holding court with Dan Manzo, Senator Makueni, and the CAS, the Ministry, or the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Isaac Maura. The debate is all about Finance Bill 2023 that has been drawing a lot of contentions, debate, and now is a crunch time. It will be on the floor of the House starting today and being debated by the legislators. Everyone, as I've mentioned before, will be eagerly looking forward to seeing who will be voting for no or yes. And people are saying this will be maybe a wildcard for the voters on how they're going to vote in 2027. And this is a clincher for them. If some of the legislators vote no, and for them that will also vote yes, that will be a decisive moment for the elections in 2020, all the re-elections in 2027 for that matter. So we continue pace with that particular conversation, but I wanted just to hark back where it began to just give you a snippet of what the legislators have been saying so far regarding this particular bill, just as a segue to continue on this other side of the break with our discussion. Listening.
Kwa sababu nyumba ikijengwa, kuna mtu wetu atauza mchanga, kuna mtu wetu atauza mawe, akona kware, kuna mtu wetu akona hardware atauza simiti, kuna kijana wetu amesomea electrician, kuna kijana wetu amesomea plumber, watapata kazi. Kwa hivyo hiyo mamilioni mnakata kutoka kwa mabonyenye. Sisi watu hapa chini tunahitaji.
Tunataka tupunguze ushuru ya landlords, ndio bei ya rent pia irudi chini. Vile vile, hiyo finance bill imepropose the housing levy. Hiyo housing levy, watu wangu wanasema sio kila mtu anatozwa hiyo ushuru. Watu wa Azimio wamedanganya watu wetu kwamba ni wale ambao wanafanya kazi peke yake. Sisi peke yetu ndio tunatozwa ushuru kama unafanya kazi. Wale hustlers wa kawaida, mama mboga, boda boda, hata katwa 3% ya housing.
The issues we have put on the table are non-negotiable. And the matter of the bipartisan talks, in our view, are now overtaken by events. We gave them a chance to talk to us on the table, but they have not demonstrated sincerity and good faith. And therefore, we are past that stage, unless they come back and convince us that they have had a change of mind and heart.
The Kenyan horse is tired. Punda ya Kenya mechoka. Punda mechoka. Punda mechoka. We have instructed all our members of parliament to stand firm in parliament and do not be intimidated.
Mimi nimesikia wabunge mko na mjadala, sijui wa sheria ya mambo ya kodi. Hiyo mswada, wabunge wa Kenya Kwanza, wabunge wa upinzani, mwendeni kule bunge mjadiliane, mumalizanie huko kwa bunge. Pale bunge kura ikipigwa, wenye wameshinda washinde, wenye wameshindwa wangojee siku nyingine.
Na ushuru, sisi kama wanaazimio tunasema kwamba kiwango ambacho wana Kenya wanaulizwa walipe ushuru huo haiwezekani. Umaskini ni mwingi, COVID kwanza ilianza, na kwingineko duniani kote serikali za dunia zinajaribu kuona vile wananchi wanaweza kujimudu. Lakini hapa naona bado tear gas iko njiani. Maana sisi sio wenda wazimu.
Hakuna haja kuja kufurahisha wananchi na kusema maneno when you are supposed to be the one who is removing the things you are telling people are bad. Ni jukumu ya wewe kama mbunge kupika msasa ule mswada, alafu ufile amendment kama unataka usungumuze na wabunge wenzako wakuunge mkono, ukuje bunge uitoe ile kitu ambayo si mzuri.
Lakini sio kama mnajua mimi ndio deep state wa serikali. Unawahi kuona deep state akaenda maandamano kweli? Hapana. So mimi kama deep state nasema kama maandamano yenu itakuwa ni haki yenu, lakini yakuwa maandamano ya amani.
Unga imepanda, mafuta imepanda, sukari imepanda, karo ya shule imepanda. Ndio sababu sisi tumewaambia hao watu ya kwamba wachini kuongeza mzigo mwingine juu ya punda. Na punda tayari imechoka.
Kama unachukua pesa kwa wananchi hadi wakufe, then there is no difference between you and the Shakahola, huyo Pastor Mackenzie.
Hapa tumesikia kutoka Vihiga. Senator Vihiga amesema Vihiga wamesema finance bill tawe. Hapa tumesikia kutoka Trans Nzoia, mbunge wangu Caleb, mbunge wa Saboti. Trans Nzoia wameamua hiyo finance bill tawe.
Right, finance bill tawe. That is according to Honorable Eugene Wamalo there. Tawe, it will be the no and the yes in the House today, and this is what we're discussing. Honorable Nyikal, you wanted to finish up on...
I wanted to finish up on the
amendment.
On the principle of amendment. The principles of amendment is that if you have a bill where you are going to amend so many parts that actually the essence of the bill is lost, then actually the whole bill should be thrown out. So you just can't keep saying, amend. If you look at this particular bill, the finance bill, the issues that are contentious, that as you can see here on the standard, is virtually more than half. But even if you go beyond that, there are things that are not left. And there are things that you see a sleight of hand. Like when you are saying you are moving, let's say, farm products, or you are moving food products from zero rating to exemption. Now, you are kind of cheating the public, because that makes it even more expensive than it was before. So if you are really going to look at amendments in this bill, you are going to amend so many things that the best thing is just to throw out the whole bill and get a new one. So the principle that come with amendments, and again, if you're in a house which is bent, that everything that comes, you put the question, then you are not even sure that those amendments will actually carry.
Okay.
So just say, throw it out, and the answer is no.
All right, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Okay, Honorable Bayo, you wanted to say something. Early in the morning, this bill will be passed. That is what you're saying. By early morning, it will be passed. Looking at the healthy debating environment that we have in the House, it seems also the standing orders are being compromised. If you'll put a question before anything is being debated, isn't that really stifling the spirit of democracy on the floor of the House?
I want to start with that, actually. You see, why will this bill be passed very early in the morning? To be passed very early in the morning because the opposition are not bringing any amendments to the bill. In Parliament, it is not what you say outside there that matters. It's the amendments that you bring to the floor of the House that matters. And that is what is put to a vote. Even the vote is taken in Parliament based on an amendment. When we come to the third reading, the Committee of the Whole will publish the proposals. But if my friend Nyikal here, Honorable Nyikal, has amendments, he will say, no, I have an amendment to that. Then we'll debate the amendment, and when we see his sense, we will say, okay, let's amend, because a member of Parliament has brought amendments. As it were today, as I sit here and we go to Parliament in the afternoon, there is not even one amendment that has been proposed by members of Azimio. In fact, the amendments that will be brought to the House, as stated here, are amendments that are likely to have been brought by the Committee of Finance, which is chaired by a Kenya Kwanza MP. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you one thing, that they have abrogated on their duty to come and challenge the law on the floor of the House. That is why I will tell you that finance bill will be passed in a record time, because there are no amendments that have been suggested by members. In fact, Kenyans should blame Azimio and ask them, what is your role as official members of the minority? Your role is to bring amendments to the finance bill. When you bring amendments to the finance bill, there are members from even Kenya Kwanza who might think probably Dr. Nyikal's amendment is a better thing, and they might vote for his amendment. But as it were today, where are the amendments that will be brought to the floor of the House that will actually countermand the proposals that are being made by government? That is one, and that is why today, as long as there are no amendments that have been brought to the House that have been approved to come to the House, that bill will pass early in the morning. And if Kenyans feel the pinch, they should look at the minority and ask them, where were you when Kenya Kwanza was passing this thing? That is one.
We have the 10 proposals that was being proffered by Right Honorable Raila Odinga, the Azimio leader.
But Raila Odinga is not a member of parliament.
But yes, it is
and
being steamrolled as a leader, but we have also the members of Azimio, Dr. Nyikali is here, we have also Senator Dan Mazu.
But you see, their leader, Honorable Wandai, said that they are not bringing even one amendment. And those proposals that have been made by Raila Odinga should now be translated into a parliamentary document of amendment and sent for approval so that they come to the floor of the House. As I sit here today, Azimio has not made any countermanding amendments to the proposals being made, and it is a failure of their leadership. It is their failure to talk about the things that they are talking outside there, inside the House, because it is in the House that law is made. The finance bill will not be debated outside there in the streets. It will be debated in Parliament. I want to challenge my friend Dr. Nyikal. If you feel for the people that you represent, if you are not just playing to the gallery on this matter, bring amendments on the finance bill to the floor of the House. Translate what Raila Odinga has said outside there into amendments, bring them to the floor of the House, and we will listen as Kenya Kwanza, and when we listen, we will put it to scale and say probably these are better proposals, and we'll put it to vote. And I can assure you, if something that you bring is reasonable, is something that is going to help this country move forward, President William Ruto has said, we will always give our ideas. A good idea will always give way to a better idea. And we hold to that. If they bring better ideas than our good ideas, we will adopt their better ideas.
Thank you.
And that is the principle of democracy. Good ideas give way to better ideas. I want to challenge Azimio. Bring better ideas. We will listen.
All right. Better ideas will actually be on the floor of the House today, because the debate begins today. And maybe they've been waiting for that particular crunch time so that they do not want to let the cat out of their bag, so that it might be on the floor of the House for every Kenyan also to listen to some of the debates that you do have. 10 proposals. You're being challenged that you're all style and no substance. You just speak. But anything that is documented to actually steamroll a debate is not there.
First of all, I want to give better idea number one. Number one, there has been a committee which is composed of both sides of the House.
Yes.
And what has happened in the bill, it's good we give proper information to the public. What happens, whatever has been prepared by that committee is presented as a report in the House. And members of that committee can give a dissenting report.
Yes.
And then when it comes to the House, you debate, But what is happening with the Kenya Kwanza now, the moment a matter is called in the House, then somebody shouts, put the question. You see, put the question should never be shouted till there has been a proper debate, and the ordinarily, by law, allocated time of such a bill is 2 hours. Minimum, at least, of debate. Every person seated in the floor should be allowed to have their say that day, those supporting and those not supporting. But now this new culture, which is running from the political rallies to the House, I think is very unfortunate. And it is on both sides of the House. You find everybody has expressed their view, which the Constitution allows them to do, in the public rallies, in churches, in funerals. And then, when you get to the House, the way they have been speaking in the public rallies, the matter is just called, and half of the House from Kenya Kwanza is say, put the question. So, and then the Speaker seems to buy that, and within 1 minute, there's no debate. That's really not parliamentary. It is not respect to the country. It's not respect to the people who elected us to the House. Everybody must be given a very patient chance. The mover to move the bill. It is seconded. People from both sides of the House make contributions, and even shades of opinion, regions. Everybody has something to say in the House. They should be allowed to say whatever they want to say. But if it is going to be that culture of arrive in the House, put the question, then everybody begin to shout, and all of a sudden there is a vote in confusion, and now we go to third reading. You know, in third reading, we go section by section, and amendments are actually brought by third reading.
Correct.
So
amendments
amendments cannot be brought now. Third reading, when it comes to third reading, there should be enough amendments. Everybody who wants to bring amendments, including people on the side of government,
yes,
where you are making a law really for prosperity, but not for an individual or for the president alone, or just everybody in the House wants to please the president. You see, the whole House is supposed to check government. The majority in the House are not the executive. The majority in the House should listen to the people who elected them and come and advise the president with those better ideas. I tell him, Mr. President, I think there's something we are going wrong. And they challenge each other, and you have a position which is progressive to the nation. But now when we have this attitude of dictatorship, that now, in fact, this dictatorship is worse than there has ever been since independence. You know, when you have that attitude that you must do it this way, whether you like it or not, and that has been said in the public podiums and it is transported to the House, I think then the Speaker, who I respect very much, and the House leaderships of both sides, then we will be losing it. We have to give everybody a fair chance. All the time allocated by law should be allocated to this debate. The only time put the question comes is under 95 of the standing orders of the National Assembly, when the debate has been conclusive and now people are repeating themselves. And then when that is done, first of all, the House must vote whether they will put the question. Then after the House has voted whether they will put the question, then it will be in agreement. You know, majority will show it is time to end this debate. But this rushed debate really is not democracy, it's not a good practice, and I don't think we should allow it in our parliament. It is not happening anywhere in the world. And when anarchy begins to rule, I really want to challenge the Kenyans who have elected people with a lot of humility. And let me tell you, during campaigns, members are very humble. You go and, you know, present yourself to the people, plead your case. You don't even know how the people are going to vote. They may vote you in, they may vote you out. It's a very difficult moment for a politician, including the president himself. You only know that you have won when the election, when the counting is over and you've been announced. Because either the results can be announced upside down. There's nothing you can do other than to go and file a petition. The same Kenyans, what they are saying. And there are very many brilliant Kenyans, more brilliant than all members of parliament. We have better people, better brains out there who never got the chance to come to the House. I think we need to listen to all these experts. We have finance experts. We have a country's situation. You see, we want to move together as a country if we are going to succeed. But if we are going to split hairs and create a situation of anxiety into the country, create a situation of war, you know, the country will easily sneak into a very difficult position. And it is not difficult. You see the tear gas throwers and, you know, the people can defeat the police. The people can defeat the army. It is not good to underrate Kenyans. If the people decide to defeat the government of the day, they will. And there's nothing much anybody elected will do. The power is with the people. The power is not with the member of parliament. The power is not with the president. And the moment we respect the people, the moment we'll begin talking as a country.
All right. Let's hear from Senator Mwaura on that bit as well. Looking at the standing order, it seems there is a complete, sort of to speak, a violation of what is in the standing order. When you want to spur a healthy debate, as is being put from the Azimio side, and you can see Honorable Bayat stoutly denying that it is not being stimulated in the House to give an environment, you know, led by the Speaker to have this healthy debates so far. I wanted just to latch on that particular point first of all. Do you think there's a violation? And if there is a violation of it, what is the remedial measure that can be stopped? Or if the Speaker is interfering with a healthy chamber debate, anything flies?
You know, when I listen to Dan Manzo, he reminds me of when we joined the National Assembly in 2013, and he was vying to be Deputy Speaker. And I was one of his backers, together with Mohammed. And also the late Joyce Laboso many years ago when we were in court. So he seems to have really mastered the standing orders. But as an advocate, I'm sure he uses that a lot to make sure that he rises on a standing order so that he can get ahead in terms of debating. The Senate has not that problem in terms of, because you call me Senator Mwaura, that's why I'm there, because there's a lot of time to debate in the Senate, and it's actually a very quality house. Any aspiring politician who is in the National Assembly or otherwise, I think Senate is a place to be if you want to really debate, because there's no caprice. And it's a house of revision, I think, particularly. It's a good house. Now, it's not right, let me just say so. Let people debate. Let people debate, because when you don't debate, it means then people have not been heard. There is also a problem where there are only some people who talk more than the others, which is very annoying. Some people come and log in at 2:30, they will be speaking at 6 or don't speak at all. But people like my friend John Buddy will walk in, speak, get out, come back and speak, that kind of thing. There's a cartel of debaters also in these houses, and I'm sure Dan Manzo is one of them now in the Senate as a ranking member, But anyway, the point is, when you have divergent opinions, unfortunately, the issue about them is that it will be put to a vote, yeah. And it does not necessarily mean that those who are elected have the best of ideas. In fact, that is the irony of our democracy. That it does not necessarily mean that they are the people who have the highest level of integrity. But be that as it may, they are the ones with the mandate. And they are the ones who are accountable. The opposition has no obligation other than to shoot from the hip. They will not be asked for questions. In fact, if nothing really happens, which is actually their biggest strategy to make sure that this government does not take off, this government does not, this government fails, they will not be held accountable. They will just come to say, you see, we told you we were the better alternative. But to be very sincere, as speaking from what the Deputy Leader of Majority has said, they are not offering counter proposals. And in Parliament, you have three options. You either pass as it is, you either amend, pass with amendments, or you delete. Those are the three options. Yes. What are the options? Can we see an alternative finance bill from the Azimio, so that we can say, for this proposal we are proposing this way, so that then we can have kind of a middle ground and with reasons. The memorandum of objects. That's what you do with the bill. Mm-hmm. But I'm very happy. By the way, Debal, for the first time in the history of the Republic of Kenya, Kenyans are discussing economic matters. This is the most debated finance bill in the history of the Republic, at least for the matter that I know in my X number of years. Yeah, and so therefore, you have a more informed audience, you have a more engaged people, and of course, the matter on the table is that then we are dealing with a very bad economy. But let's be honest, this is also a political contestation. People are trying to win the hearts and souls of Kenyans. A government becomes unpopular the moment if you put the Bible down like that, you start making enemies. Others are jealous, others are wondering how you made it, including members of Parliament. But I do not want to agree with the incitement that I'm hearing Dan Manzo saying here. Yes. I'm on him today because he's very articulate on telling Kenyans, number one, the power is with the people. It's like, come to the streets, we can defeat government and police. That's what he's trying to say here. Yes. And then also he's trying to intimidate members of Parliament that, this party leader will abandon you. If he had not gotten the wiper ticket, because I know that, and he spent very little money because he's very popular, I'm not very sure that he will be in the Senate. Let's face it, political parties play a very critical role in people winning elections. And so is ODM, and so is UDA, yes. Wherever we come from. So if you have to stand with the president of your, or rather the party leader, and for this case it is our president, William Samoei Ruto. Why? Because I don't think there's any deviation from what he said. And Debal, this is a listening government. Give credit where it is due. If the 3% was still 3%, we would be having a reason to say that government is not listening. But if you look at the proposals in your paper, the Standard today, you can see there's a give and take. And allow me to say, I don't know that you had said it before, VAT has been maintained, that is what you're contending with, and it's number one here. But housing levy has been reduced by half. That's a very good. It means the government is listening. If you look at the issue of content creators, it has been reduced from 15 to 5%. If it's withholding tax, you have to pay within 5 days instead of 24 hours. Betting from 20 to 12.5. Insurance from 16 to, that one is the same. Income tax for big earners like members of parliament is 32% from 35. Income tax above that one is 35%. Export levy is 17 from, it's been increased, you know. So, and mobile transfer has been, so you can see those people who are saying that there is no debate about, this is the debate. This means that somebody is listening. And so therefore, the sheer contestations of excitable first-time members of parliament, you know, like Rosa Buyu. No, Rosa Buyu is actually a third-term member. Is it? Yeah, a third-term member.
But he only shouts.
Rosa should behave better. She's my friend.
Yes.
And at some point we were on TV here with her, and I refuse to be a heckler, because sometimes she can be one. But she's also very reasonable when she decides to be so. But people like the Bensuda and Catherine Omanyo, those ones you can excuse them. They are first-time members of parliament. Now we are discussing them on national television. They are trying to make a name for themselves. Like Catherine has been running for many years unsuccessfully. But it's okay. The point is decorum must be maintained in the House. Let people debate, at least to a certain measure, that I must confess, and then allow people then to take a vote. However, these votes are predetermined, and I'll tell you why. When we were discussing how to impeach Governor Waititu, I had already done my sums in the morning, and I knew 27 were against him and 11 were for him. So I tweeted and said it is 27 against 11. Waititu, when he was defending himself, the first thing he said is that Mwaura had already declared the results. Why? It's because you can tell the outcome of this based on who is voting for it. But you can see some divergence of opinion even within Kenya Kwanza.
Yes.
There are some legislators in UDA who have said they are not supporting the bill. I'm sure also it's the same case with the ones in Azimio. And that is the nature of democracy. Sometimes, of course, you can ask yourself whether you are making the right political decision. But one thing I can say, Debal, as I conclude on this one, is that we are very alive to the fact that Azimio was to use this opportunity to make sure that Kenya Kwanza loses political support. We'll tell them that in 3 years' time, this will be so successful that they wonder why they were opposing in the first place.
So let me just add on that issue of the options.
Yes.
Now, he actually gave 3 options.
Yes.
Pass as it is.
Yes.
You can amend.
Yes.
Reject as it is.
Yes.
Now, what we are taking is reject as it is.
Sure.
Why? Why? The reason is, take the 10 things that have been listed here that actually the government feels those ones can be amended. But I'll just go through a list of what actually is bad that has not been touched. So that if you are actually going to go through this, the reason would be reject that thing. Okay, those have been done, VAT and so on. But what about imported digital services content in clause 31? That is an issue. Insurance, when you get an insurance and you are compensated for insurance, somebody wants you to pay on that. That is there, has not been talked about. Construction materials for tourism and recreation, that actually were down, and now they're moving it from the 0 rating to exempt. That is not acceptable. Maize flour, cassava flour, and wheat flour, again, in clause 33, which again was 0 rated, they are moving it to exempted. Pharmaceutical products, the same thing. Agricultural products, even fertilizers that they were talking about, that was 0 rated, they are moving it to exempted. There was this friendly cooking gas that they were talking about. Construction of material for specialized hospitals that actually were protected, that is now they're removing. The only thing they seem to be accepting in aircrafts and helicopters, where they're removing the VAT. Now, that does not help Kenyans when you move VAT on that. Mobile money transfer, again, that is going to be taxed. That is in there. Beauty supplies that our ladies use, that again is coming at a level that actually will be prohibitive. Imported cement, we're allowing imported cement, while at this point, we're actually talking of building houses. That is no. Digital lenders content, confectionaries, even sugar. So the thing is actually so bad that the position is just reject the thing. So So it is also an option. So this gimmick that make your amendment is such that you will make a few amendments that they'll accept, but it will carry the whole thing that you actually do not want. So again, we must avoid when we come to debate sleight of hand that you think the other people will see it. We have seen through this. If you try to make a few amendments on this bill, you are selling Kenya on the bigger context.
All right. Before Baya, you respond.
He cannot be allowed to run away with that.
Well,
What exactly? What exactly? Because I still wanted to latch on the issue of the health debate in House. And
now, I want to, if you allow me to say a few things about tax exempts and zero rating, then I'll come to health debate. You see, what Dr. Nyikari is also not telling us, and which he should, because I've known him as an honest man before the 13th Parliament, and he knows that. He has changed considerably. He has reconfigured himself in the 13th Parliament, and that is
so is he being dishonest? What is he now? According to your estimation?
The 12th Parliament was a very nice.
No, I'm still the same.
Now he has.
It's only when he left us just less than a year ago. That is when things changed.
He has changed.
And he's moved to another seat.
You see, this idea of why are we moving from zero rating to tax exempt? You see, today the litigation on tax is very high. A lot of money is actually held up in courts because this guy is claiming tax, and when he is told, no, you'll be paid this much, he goes to court. So he holds what is his and he holds what is government. And today, billions of shillings are held. Why? Because we want to zero rate. Now, when we zero rate, the problem with zero rating is that you want to claim tax. You want to claim tax after, for example, if you are a hospital is zero rated, but then you go and buy furniture, computers, and all that, which you pay tax on them. Then you come and say, because our hospital is zero rated, I want to claim my tax. So when you claim your tax, what happens is people inflate those things. People are paid billions. You spend 200 million to build a hospital. Okay, then you say, it's zero rated, so I need to claim money. So when you go to claim, you claim almost 250 million. You get Kenyans lose on this issue of zero rating because people make huge claims, and when now you are told there's a problem here, you rush to court. So court blocks. Today, if you go to the archives, and not the archives, you go and check the books and see how much money is held because of this thing. It is colossal amount of money that, in fact, we introduced that law that before you go to court, you have to pay 20%.
In fact, I was coming to that. Yeah.
Pay 20% upfront before you go to court, because this country is suffering because of unscrupulous businessmen who push government to zero rate things. And then after that, they know when the government has zero rated these things, then we will go and claim VAT. We'll go and claim this tax. When they claim those taxes, they leave this country without money. Because now that is where corruption is, and that is where actually cartels build. Or I want to get my claim, and KRA has said this and that. So because Dan Manzo is an MP and has some influence, I go to Dan Manzo and say, you see, Dan Manzo will give you 20% of this money. Go to the minister or go to CBK, please get the money for us and all that. We want to do away with that thing. It is killing this economy. That's why we are saying,
but isn't that punitive and to excess of justice as well? What if I don't have the 20%?
If you lose,
yeah.
Yes, but you see,
where does it put me?
Okay, you want to look at justice and say, okay, this is justice or this is unjust and this is. But what about this country? There are people who are professionals at litigation when it comes to issues of tax.
But the country is the people. If the country is the people,
deal with corruption.
It is not
Don't bring unjust things.
How do we deal with corruption in taxes? We don't deal with corruption in taxes by speaking about it. We put measures to stop it. We need to, every time when Raila Odinga said, he said, William Ruto should seal all corruption loopholes. That's what he said. We should seal all corruption loopholes. We agree. How are we going to seal corruption loopholes? We're going to seal it by ensuring that this thing of claims and all that is stopped. Secondly, when it comes to issues, they like talking about this helicopter tax. And I want to respond to it, this helicopter tax. You see, why is it being introduced? We have a big industry here at Wilson. to repair helicopters and planes and all that. That facility today is not being used because of the taxes that have been imposed. In East Africa...
Which facility exactly? At the Wilson?
The Wilson, you know, the hangar at Wilson does a lot of repairs. A lot of repairs for...
Is it private?
Which one?
It's a government facility.
Then
And even private. So you bring your helicopter here for repairs. And it's only in East Africa that we have this facility. But they cannot bring that helicopter. They'd rather take it to Europe to go repaired because the taxes here are punitive. So what are we doing? We are removing that so that now people can bring their helicopters to Wilson for repair. When they are repaired here, the industry there is huge. We will employ mechanics. We will use a lot of human resource to ensure that that facility is working, and the money that will come into the government is big. Because if you bring here a helicopter
but you,
to be
in
repaired,
Wilson Airport, you just don't repair helicopters. We have the aircrafts, you know, the small aircraft as well, the Cessnas.
But you see
why the helicopter?
Because many people in Africa own helicopters than the fixed wings and all that. You see, so what are we saying? We are saying, bring your helicopters here. You'll have lesser tax. We will improve the industry, you know, so that now a lot of the helicopters can be brought there for Nanini. It is revenue to the country. And that is why we have. But you see, they're saying, you know, it is for the rich. It is not. It is to spur the economy within that aviation industry for repairs. Just like I want to see more ships being built and repaired in Malindi, or in my constituency.
Okay, allow me just to latch on that a bit again.
Yes.
Because I find it very insincere also with this particular exemption that is being put, because first of all, we've seen the headlines. When we are heading towards a general election, the politicians, that class of politicians and the wealthy Kenyans are the ones who are owning these helicopters. Forget about the fixed aircraft, the light ones as well, right? So isn't this actually meant to cushion these politicians who own these helicopters?
That is,
and isn't this also a preparation for 2027? Because we have a huge eye-popping figures of politicians who are owning aircraft, helicopters in this country. We find that to be a bit insincere, because even at Wilson Airport, a lot of the hangars there, they're not repairing helicopters for a fact.
Now we want today to spur that economy, that area, that industry, that we should be able to repair helicopters in this country, and Kenya should be a hub for repair for helicopters, so that we stimulate the industry. And when you want to stimulate a certain industry, what you do is you go down on taxes, you stimulate the industry so that it grows. You don't put a lot of taxes and stifle the growth of that industry. Kenya is an aviation hub in Africa. Kenya is in Africa. And one of the things is to grow the industry, to go into actually a lot of repairs can be done here and create jobs for our people that are interested in that industry. And that is why you have that. The notion that politicians own helicopters. How many do you own a helicopter? Do you own a helicopter? No. Out of the four of us on this table,
I know some of you are 7.
People hire this helicopter.
But with all due respect, also, Honorable Baya, we know people in the upper reaches of government who are owning hangars at the Wilson Airport.
Yes, that is true. But it is when people say that I want to stand and defend my politician friends. How many politicians actually own it's big business moguls who own helicopters, not politicians. The money that we make as members of parliament cannot allow you even to buy, you have to take a loan to buy a
brand new car.
You cannot buy
and that's where we're inclined to wonder.
All these MPs here drive second-hand cars.
No, that's where we're inclined to wonder. Why then the members of parliament here, a lot of them who are owning the helicopters?
No, not many members of parliament on that one I can say without fear of contradiction. Not many members of parliament, but probably 1 or 2. In that parliament, when I sit there and I look, probably I'll see 1 or 2 people. their own helicopters. I don't know in the Senate whether there are senators who
No,
own...
I am aware of politicians who are outside Parliament who own helicopters.
Yes, but this thing should not be seen as a gift to
certain.
But I also now want to come to the issue of debate.
Okay,
if you allow.
He
me.
wanted to ask you something on that helicopter tax exemptions as well. Yeah.
No, I just asked. I wanted to ask. Well, not just that, but even the exemption. The fear about zero rating and exemption is because of the corruption in the system.
Yes.
Now, if you accept there is so much corruption that you cannot handle even these claims and taxes, how are you then expecting Kenyans to put their hard-earned money in a system like in the housing one, where you have not put structures and that their money will be safe? You see, if the government wants to handle corruption, it must be, in principle, overboard and tough. So that you can't, one time you are taking money, you don't have structures. The other time you are saying we can't allow this because we are afraid of corruption.
No, I think we need to see loopholes of corruption, and we have started, and the president has shown his hand in fighting corruption. How? And that is
how?
Out there.
How is
there is no policy, there is no strategy.
If you are afraid of giving a zero rating because you are afraid of corruption, how can you turn around and tell people you are fighting corruption?
Secondly, I want to say something about the House and what unfortunate, I would call it an unfortunate remark.
Can I give a chance? Just hold on to that housing as well, because you've been very elaborate on the helicopter. Let me just come to Dan Maza, because it's challenging you on how also corruption is going forth by this administration. We've just seen also the former DPP now exempting or letting loose of the ex PS of the Ministry of Devolution, and on the NYS scandal as well. That is PS Elizabeth Omolo. And we're wondering, why are all these cases? This has been a long-drawn case for also the PS so far. And the reason being now, it is a sloppy work that has been done by the DCI in terms of evidence. So all along, we had a tight case, but it's turning out to be, yes, many cases.
There are many cases which have been withdrawn. And you see, before a DPP charges anybody or even sends police officers to come and arrest you, a file has been prepared, it has statements, it has documents, and at that particular moment, the DPP satisfies himself that there is a triable case and he has sufficient evidence. Otherwise, you should never be charged at all if there is no evidence. And then, these cases are quite a number of them. And then as soon as there is change of government and he has been offered a bigger job, all of a suddenly, quite a number of very high-profile, cases whereby the money is known, who stole it, and where it is, and it should actually be recovered upon trial and conviction of this person. Then we have close to 10 cases entered what we call nolle prosequi, that you cannot prosecute. You see, when you enter nolle prosequi, he says, we are aware there is a case against you, but now, because the Constitution allows the DPP, without justification and even without documentation, to see how he has now arrived into this, he enters nolle prosequi. You see, before you enter nolle prosequi, you must have a justification. You must show now that the evidence you have is no longer sustainable. In fact, the prosecution, if you look at what has been dropped and look at also the Songo cases, he wins all the cases at the lower court. But now the same DPP who is dropping cases of others decides we are going to appeal against the lack of conviction of former Governor Songo. So you see there are double standards there. And if the only way you can fight corruption is making sure that the corrupt individuals know that as soon as they steal money, they are not going to get away with it. But the moment you release all these cases, you are saying, so long as you are politically connected, and now the DPP he needs the favor of the House and the favor of the President for a bigger job, obviously he has cooperated. And I think it's most unfortunate. The only good thing which has happened with the fight of anti-corruption, you have gotten a very good chair to chair the EFCC. And that's a gentleman I can assure you cannot be compromised. He has a commission and he has a CEO. But below the CEO, he has no sufficient officers, he has no budget, he has no structures to the counties. The so-called regional offices are so unfunded, without officers, and yet the country says we have a policy to fight corruption. If you are not fighting corruption, then everything else we are doing, finance bill, all the billions, trillions collected, they are going to end up in a few people's pockets, because now people are going to steal with impunity. People in government, people are going to take bribes with impunity, because they know so long as you know the president or you sing his song and you support him together with your tribe, then you cannot be tried, in any criminal case, be it murder, corruption, whatever criminal case. Then what sort of country are we bringing up? They are no.
You're allowing him to get away with murder.
Yeah. No, but you know those who have been charged with murder have gotten away with it, and the people have been buried. People are in the grave. It's a fact. So I think we really have to. That is a very sensitive office. The office of the DPP holds the conscience of the country. He's actually the whip, which really must whip people into order.
I want to say this,
and be scared.
Hold on. We come
be
to
scared. I'm looking at what policy is there. What policy has Kenya Kwanza government has brought, and has it been made public, other than just a mere talk of tutafanya, tutapanga, tutaweka. That has been the talk in the country, and nothing has been implemented. So if we don't check corruption, then we are really killing our country.
You need to give me 1 minute on that. 1 minute, then I will allow Isaac. I think Dan Mwanzo, is a good lawyer. He has won several cases, including against ODM and against Raila. I think that is one of his happiest moments in life, when he defeated Raila in court, ODM. But I want to say this. One, we are going to have a new DPP, and that is a fact. A new DPP, who we believe is one of the president's strategy to fight corruption and to fight all these other things. And that is why, in his wisdom, the president says, come over here to the NIS, leave that position vacant, let Kenyans apply for this new job as DPP. And this country is going to have a new DPP very, very soon. A DPP that will go through the rigors of selection and all those, and he will come to Parliament, and we will give you a fair chance to debate the new DPP. So that is one thing.
You'll not put the question, or you'll put the question.
Secondly, Manzo has said we have a new person, a new sheriff in EACC, a person who cannot be compromised, and a good person. Those are the steps the president is taking towards ensuring that the fight against corruption is real. Secondly, the president, in his own wisdom, has said we want to give the Justice Department budget. And you can see in this budget, we are giving enough budget, actually some more money to Kome and her team, to ensure that justice is not delayed, but delivered on time. And that's why we are giving more money to allow all these corruption cases that are there are actually fought. On ESCC, the president is saying, give me more money. Give me more money to strengthen institutions, so that we can strengthen ESCC, we can strengthen justice, we can strengthen the police, so that when they have money, they will not be dependent or beholden by the executive. They can do their job as it ought to be.
Yes.
That is one way. The president's principle of ensuring that Kenyans are safe and their money is safe is to ensure that the institutions that are there to fight corruption and to make justice are actually properly funded. Today, the same people who are saying, Dan Mwanzo are saying, there is not enough money to fight corruption for ESCC.
Even in the current
but we are saying, give us more money so that we can properly fund ESCC, and they're saying the president does not deserve that money.
But even when
the
it's
contradictions, the contradictions that these guys in Azimio they tell you there's not enough money in Department of Justice. Cases are delayed. We don't have enough judges. That is what he's a lawyer, and he says that. The president is saying, give me money so that I can give the Justice Department enough money, so that they can work efficiently and effectively, because we give them enough budget. They're saying no. They're saying there is no enough budget for ESCC. We are saying, allow us to do the finance bill so that we can fund ESCC properly, so that the fight against corruption can be independent. They are saying, no, we don't want to give you the money.
I think you
need to come out
just a moment. You latch on to it
clearly
So your 1 minute is over.
Yes.
Yeah. Your 1 minute is over. But even why would we be seeking more money from the public and we've not even clamped on the wastage that is still there? That we've had even top-notch, advisors of the president, talking about the wastage that is systemic within the upper reaches of government as it is right now. The question I wanted actually to put to Maura, and when we're talking about wastage, we're talking about corruption, we have lobbyists, even today, who are threatening to go to the streets because of the unique personal identifier that is a digital ID. They see this as another scam in the waiting, and we've not been told what really happened with the Huduma number up to today. Thousands and millions of shillings were spent on Huduma number. No one is really talking about. I think the administration will have actually, gone and trying to investigate and look and do an audit on what really happened to Huduma number. Why would we now trust and believe the current administration with the unique identifier, personal identifier, that is a digital...
I've just stepped down as a secretary of APNAC, Anti-Corruption Caucus of Parliament, after 10 years. And let me tell you, the issue of corruption, we cannot take sides on that one. I think that's a bipartisan issue. People have a tendency of coming up with schemes to siphon out government money for their own selfish ends. And I agree with you. This one I make a concession. I don't know whether the 5 gentlemen, all of us here on this table, anyone has got their Huduma number, that card, because I saw them, members of parliament, trying to distribute them to help the administration. But what was it for? I mean, it has not been in effect. I don't think I've ever been asked for a Huduma number any time that I've, asked for any service. And it's the same thing. It's not just that. I was thinking when I was coming, if really we could reevaluate how much a kilometer of road would cost, in this country. But also, and allow me to divert into that because it's a question of corruption. If there could just be we could give more powers to the Office of the Controller of Budgets to have power to actually determine on maximum pricing on government services. In a way, because it is to the lowest bidder, but that bidder could as well be somebody who is the highest bidder in the real sense of the market pricing. And we can learn from Rwanda, we can learn from the US, because we seem to be expending money that we don't have, which then creates pending bills that I think at some point there were 460 billion. That's a lot, and in the infrastructure docket there were about over 900 billion. The KK administration has done away with about 150 billion, but most of the contractors have not been paid. So that tells you we are living beyond our means. And it's just because we've not really properly quantified how much is it that we're getting from the market. It is actually true that the most smartest public servant is the one who is able to swindle the government of the day. But corruption really starts with you and me, really. And it's not just a question of saying it, because if I decide to come up with a corrupt scheme, I mean, how do I blame the president? The president is supposed to ensure that does not happen. And he has said that the buck stops with him. But there are small, they say it's not the huge, the big 5 that affect us. It's the small, foxes, the little, the swatting the flies. Those are the ones really that build up to a situation where if you are not seen to have benefited from the system, then you are not smart enough. And that culture has been entrenched that to the extent that Kenyans no longer, care. I mean, they have become numb to the issue of corruption. And I've really been asking this question. David Oginde is there now as a new chair. Bukala has since retired. And the question is, are we making progress in the fight against corruption? Now, one thing that I can give credit to the KK administration, which I serve, is that they have reduced expenditure. Most of the MDAs have not been able to receive their monies that were not necessary. You can even see expenditure has been reduced by, quite a huge amount of money. So that tells you there are really austerity measures to the extent that maybe even there's a cash crunch in many of the MDAs. So that tells you the extent to which corruption can go to hurt a country, because if you have odious debt that was procured in a corrupt manner, that was never passed by parliament, that in itself is corruption. So it's not a question that I think we can take sides on this one. We have to agree
genuinely that this is a cancer that is coming to bite our country. And the president has taken a very strong stand on it. And I believe that the new people who have been given the opportunity to superintend over these affairs will really work hard to ensure that it is not the case.
Thank you.
However,
allow me just to button it is 8 o'clock on the nose. You can actually get a continuation of your thought on the other side of the break. We take a station break right now. It's 8 o'clock on the nose, and we are discussing issues to do with the finance bill that will be debated today in the floor of the House, and after that, the issues as well as far as PACs for the MCs is concerned, and corruption, latching on that idea of the unique personal identifier, that is the digital ID that is being proffered by the current administration. And we're asking what happened to the Huduma number. An eye-popping figure was spent on it, but still, do you have it? I don't have it, right? We went about the whole country making sure that every person has that particular ticket number. But what happened to it? It went down the tubes. We take a short break.